Well, ladies and gentlemen, AMC is pretty much flat on the day as the hedgies have done what they typically do and manipulate the stock around VWAP as well as around $23 per share. So that's a given. I'm just going to say that off the bat. But we did get a lot of bullish news from Fed Jerome Powell. We're going to give you guys the recap of that, the most important points, and then we are going to go over the data that you need to know. So do what you guys got to do. Hit that like button for me and consider subscribing to the channel. Santa hat might finally bring us some good luck after all. So let's dive straight into it. AMC is literally flat on the day. 0.00% change as of right now. It's 1:30 p.m. right now, so by the time you guys see this, we could be up or we could be down. It's not going to matter. We had possibly the most important catalyst, certainly we've had already in 2022, but possibly the most important catalyst throughout all of 2022 that happened this morning, and we did live stream that. So if you guys want to watch the whole thing, then check that out under the live stream we just did. But Fed Jerome Powell, he walked a very tight line. And like I've said for a while now, investors, all they really care about is interest rates. They care about inflation too, because that's going to play into how aggressive the Fed has to be to control inflation. But this interest rate scenario, Fed Jerome Powell pretty much came out and said everything we've expected him to say. He didn't throw any curveballs. He wasn't too dovish. He wasn't too hawkish. He kind of just wrote it out perfectly. He was actually asked when they want to start reducing their $8.8 trillion balance sheet. And this was the biggest point to point out of that whole testimony. And he said, well, we're going to look at the data. We're going to meet for a couple more meetings and then, talk about it and then give you guys more info to go off of. So a lot of people started to expect that even at this next meeting, Fed Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve, might announce that they're going to start letting their balance sheet essentially run off. If you guys hear runoff balance sheet, it's basically where the Fed buys all of these bonds. They've really been buying the short-term bonds, the 2-year bonds, and the shorter duration. And that's because they like to keep interest rates low in the short term. That's why they buy the short-term bonds and keep those rates down low. Essentially what the runoff is say, since March of 2020, it's going to come around to a lot of those 2-year bonds that are going to start maturing March of this year, March, April, June, July, this whole year. And what they're talking about is letting those bonds expire. So the Fed would get that interest rate, they would get paid out for owning that bond, and then they simply just wouldn't reinvest what they've made back into more bonds. They would let the balance sheet run off, get this capital back, but decrease their balance sheet over time. And that would happen a lot throughout the rest of, 2022, throughout the rest of this year, because a lot of those bonds are going to start maturing. And what Fed Jerome Powell said about balance sheet runoff was that they're not really thinking about doing that as of right now, that they're going to wait a couple more meetings. They're going to see how the data is and then look at the situation again. So that was obviously a very bullish sign. And as well as that, we also do have the inflation report that is coming out tomorrow. Keep in mind that is for the month of December, and the expectation for this report is about 7%. So I don't really see us exceeding that. But if we did, that would be a catalyst to send us much lower. If we come in lower than 7%, like I think, that could actually shoot the markets up through the roof. And that will obviously be a good thing, and that will affect AMC at the same time. So that, in a nutshell, is really all that mattered out of that Fed testimony with Fed Jerome Powell. We also have Brainerd's testimony, I believe, that is on Friday. I will get clarification of that and bring that to you guys at 4 o'clock today. But overall, it's looking very bullish. The SPY is up over 0.5%. You guys can see ever since the Fed meeting started, we were at these lower levels, and then we did pretty much climb the whole entire Fed meeting besides a couple dips here and there, and we are almost at daily all-time highs, and that really highlights the manipulation that's also going on with AMC. You guys can see AMC, ever since the meeting has really stopped, has been gradually selling off. Same thing with GameStop, and these are quite aggressive sell-offs. GameStop down 1.61% and AMC down 1.10%. We were hanging out at VWAP as well as struggling around $23 for a while, and then we just broke under that. And you guys can see the short ladder attacks that are going on, the naked shorting that is happening intraday that doesn't necessarily have to be reported, nor do you get failure to delivers. So that's the scoop. As far as for tomorrow with the inflation report, if inflation comes in under 7%, then I would expect, I think it's very reasonable to expect a move back to $24 or $25 per share, as we will get a lot of de-hedging that will have to happen because inflation is simply not as bad as some people think. The Fed won't have to be so hawkish. If we do get an inflation report that comes in over 7%, then I think you could sell off down to about $20 per share if the markets have an awful day, like the NASDAQ down 3% or something crazy. Then I think you could fall to, these low, $20.80 per share. We hit that bottom twice. So around that range, even slightly under that, wouldn't surprise me all too much. As far as the MACD, we are not looking so hot there. And if we pull up the Bollinger Bands, we do need to cross above the 20-day simple moving average, which is at $26.30 per share. And once we get a clean break above that and really above $29 per share, that's where I think we do have a lot of room to run to the upside. So it's only a matter of time before, obviously, we will see the next big rally with AMC, and likely it could be tomorrow. As far as the Ortex data, we're looking at 18.02% short interest of free float, 92.52 million shares that are sold short, and the settlement day for the short interest was December 31st. We're getting this released to us today, and the short interest was 18.46% with almost 2 days to cover. So shorts are really digging themselves into a very bad situation, and once AMC does rally and shorts try to cover, there's not going to be that much shares available, and it's going to be very hard for hedge funds to get their hands on shares to cover on their short positions. So all in all, very bullish, very, very bullish here. Cost to borrow, all of that staying pretty much the same. Share utilization is 76.59%, and days to cover right here at 2.48 days to cover. So still looking really good, waiting for that correlation where the price of the stock is going to go up and the days to cover will shoot down. As far as the stock tracker data, baby, we're not looking at anything too crazy for this Friday. About 98,500 calls that are out of the money and about 8,500 calls that are in the money. In the money puts at about 23,500. Out of the money puts at about 58,000. So nothing substantial for this Friday. Next week, that's going to be the big week. And hopefully some of these fears really start to die down by the end of this week, if not just tomorrow in general. So we can see that bullish rally for the January 21st expiration date. Now, finally, the max pain is at about $24. And that's going to be key, or $23 now. So that's still signaling, a little bit of possible upside from here, about 50 cents. But this could be the week that we break out above the max pain closing price. If max pain's 23, it still wouldn't surprise me if we did close the week in between $24 and $26.50 per share, like I did say on Sunday on the price prediction video. So that is the intraday data. Those are the most important pieces of the Fed testimony, really the only things that have an impact to moving the markets. So if you guys found value out of this video, hit that like button for me and consider subscribing to the channel. If you guys want access to all of my trades in real time, check out that link pinned down below in the top comment. Love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.